equal to 0. This is termination. Then return 1. 1 is true. That means it will return true. Means it will stop. Else what should happen is return. Here we are using number and into. Again call the function fact. Into that pass the number and -1, number -1. So that means here what we are doing is the fact function is called within the function again. The fact function is called within the function again. This technique is called recursion. We call this as recursion. That means that function is called within the function again. That is what actually we call recursion. Now technically what is happening here? So very simple point here. Suppose I called fact and into the fact I am passing 5. Now it will verify so whether it is less than or equal to 0. So it's not less than or equal to 0. Then obviously it will come here. And this time the value will be 5 into the fact of number -1. That means here it will call factorial. Fact number -1. That means 5 minus 1. That is 4. So that means this is returning the 4 value. It is returning the 4 value. That means 5 into 4. It is 20. But important, you are calling the function again here. Then what it is doing is it will return the 4, multiply with existing, and it will call this function again. That means this function is called again. If the function is called again, this time 5 minus 1, that means it will be 4. That means it is not less than, it will come again here. And this time, so what happens? Already we have 20. And 20 into, this time 4 minus 1. 4 minus 1 means number is 4 now. 4 minus 1. So that means 20 into 3. Right? And it will be 60. So similarly, it will go again. This time it will be changed to 2. 1. That means the function is called within the same function. Repeatedly until the condition is satisfied. Once your number is 0, then it will stop. This is not looping or iterating, but the function is iterating actually. The function is iterating means the function is executing several number of times. This is what generally we call as recursion. This is called as recursion. So that means in this recursion technique, I will call that now here. That means console.log. I want to print factorial. And here I am using fact of suppose 5. The value is passed here. First time it will be 5. After that it will be 5 minus 1, 4. After that 4 minus 1, 3. 3 minus 1, 2. 2 minus 1, 1. Right? And 1 minus 1, 0. Once it is 0, then it will stop. Until that, it will be keep on multiplying with the new value that comes in. So now what happens here is when I run this, then it should print the factorial of that particular number. It should print the factorial of that particular number, 120. So here I said fact is equal to, right? So just it is printing the factorial of that given number. And what we have done is we made it iterate several number of times. So a function is called within the function. This technique is recursion, and it is not only once. Usually we call this to perform an iteration. That is what actually the concept of recursion is. So technically, recursion is a technique where a function is called within the function. So this type of functions we need to perform batch jobs. That means the jobs that we need to handle based on the time interval provided to us. That means we don't know how many times. So, but we know how much time they have to execute. How many times we don't know, we are not sure. But how much time they have to do the task. Such type of tasks are done and managed by using recursions. So this is an example of an recursion. Technically, function recursion means, so we are calling a function within the function and it is handling the functionality iterations specific number of times, right? So when we are dealing with functions, these are all important points about the functions. So one more important point is how we can define lambda functions. Actually, these are all the concepts of client-side scripting. Typescript haven't introduced anything new inside them. These are already there in JavaScript. We are using in the same way in TypeScript also. So that nothing is new. That means recursion is not new, function constructor is not new, and lambdas are not new. Return type related basics are not new. All are same. All are already there with the JavaScript. So TypeScript also supports them. That's the reason we need to just take an overview for them, right? Technically, lambda functions, lambda is a big concept. We will understand about lambda expressions later in Angular while dealing with services and all. As of now, lambda is nothing but it is a shorthand method. It is a shorthand method of writing a function. So in programming, lambda refers to anonymous functions, and functions are defined in a shorthand way. Actually, they are mostly used for minifying the logic. I think you know minification. Minification is a technique used for client-side JavaScript and CSS in order to reduce the number of lines in the code and keep the functionality in the same way. So that's generally managed by using this lambda notations, right? Actually, lambda usually refers to anonymous functions, anonymous functions defined in a shorthand way, in a shorthand way, in a short